Hari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Talks between Narada and King Prachina Barihi, Shloka number 74. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva iti abhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva iti abhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva iti abhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva ityabhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva ityabhidiyate. Evam panchavidam lingam trivrit shodasha vistritam esha chetanaya yukto jiva ityabhidiyate. Okay. Evam, thus, panchavidam, five sense objects, lingam, the subtle body, trivrit, influenced by the three modes, shodasha, 16, vistritam, expanded, eshaha, this, chetanaya, with the living entity, yuktaha, combined, jivaha, the conditioned soul, iti, thus, abhidiyate, is understood. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the five sense objects, the five sense organs, the five knowledge acquiring senses, and the mind are the 16 material expansions. So here only five was mentioned, evam panchavidam lingam, but trivrit known to three, and then shodasham because including mind. So these combined with the living entity, and the mind are 16 material expansions. These combine with the living entity and are influenced by three modes of material nature. Thus, the existence of the conditioned soul is understood. Purport. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhutah Sanatanaha, Mana Sashtani Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Here it is also explained that the living entity comes in contact with 16 material elements and is influenced by three modes of material nature. The living entity and this combination of elements combine to form what is called Jiva Bhuta, the conditioned soul that struggles hard within material nature. The total material existence is first agitated by the three modes of material nature, and these become the living conditions of the living entity. Thus, the subtle and gross bodies develop, and the ingredients are earth, water, fire, air, sky, and so on. According to Sri Madhvacharya, when consciousness, the living force in the heart, is agitated by three modes of material nature, then the subtle body of the living entity, consisting of mind, the sense objects, the five senses that acquire knowledge, and the five senses for acting in material conditions, becomes possible. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasa Digaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, so here we see that Prabhupada many times he mentions this particular concept that Jiva Bhuta and then Brahma Bhuta. So Jiva Bhuta means the living entity, conditioned in this material world, and Brahma Bhuta means a liberated soul. So Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na Sarshati na Kankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So like a living entity who is beyond the influence of this material body, which is consisting of various kinds of senses and also including the mind. So then he is called as the Brahma Bhuta. So when he is stuck within these things, he is called Jiva Bhuta. So and Krishna also mentions this definition very nicely, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So he says, Manashashtani Indriyani, Prakrtistani Karshati. So like he is conditioned, as we were discussing on the Saturday class also. So to be controlled by the material nature, we have to give the impetus, or we have to give the input of fruitive activity. So if we either get attached to the fruits of our action, or we get attached to liberation, or we get attached to Siddhi, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi. If any one of these things are there, then only the material nature, or to some extent, like, material nature can function. Otherwise, the material nature cannot function. So what is the other condition that is there? So apart from these three, the thing that is existing is Krishna Bhakti. So like when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, so then if we don't take shelter of the Supreme Lord, either we will be there in one of these three things. We cannot avoid being there in one of these three aspects. So sense gratification, illegally is sinful, and legally according to the Vedic, this one is Karma Yoga, and then like Jnana and Ashtanga. So Jnana and Yoga, all these things. So these are the contaminations in total. So without taking shelter of Krishna, we have to be there in one of these zones. So then if we are there in that one of those zones, then the material nature acts upon. So then it is like struggling very hard. So this whole picture actually comes in. The living entity has to struggle. So the standard of knowledge that is measured in terms of the Vedic system, or in terms of the ideal system, is sense control. So somebody is able to control his senses, that means his knowledge is increasing. So it doesn't matter whether he's able to cite lot of shlokas or he's able to like scholarly present things or not. So nowadays it has come to the point of knowledge means somebody who can speak well. So that is mentioned in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. That one who is very audacious, he'll be considered very knowledgeable and things like that. So knowledge means sense control. So we cover in the Gita course this particular aspect. Knowledge means sense control, knowledge means character. So this is the this one of knowledge, sign of knowledge. So now why it is the sign of knowledge? Knowledge means to act in our original position, free from the influence of material nature. And how do we get free from the influence of material nature? No, mameve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So when we take prapadyant, when we take prapan or shelter, surrender unto the Supreme Lord, so then Krishna actually removes the effects of maya. So then we can actually act in a liberated state. So otherwise, a living entity is called Jiva Bhuta, who's controlled like the material nature. For it to control, the living entity is like asangoyam ayam purusha. So this is also like something which Srila Prabhupada often quotes. So the living entity has nothing to do with the material things. But still, how does the material nature control the living entity? So I need to have some connection with the material nature. So, but asangoyam ayam purusha. So like the living entity is not having any connection with the supreme, any connection with the material nature at all. So the connection is that he wants to exploit the material nature, he wants to enjoy the material nature. So that connection when it establishes, then material nature can put him through so much of ordeal, so much of difficulties and everything. But the moment he says, no, I want to take shelter of Krishna. So the key thing, like when I was giving a Japa talk a few days back, so somebody asked me this thing, that mind gives so many arguments, for so many this ones that I should focus on this, I should focus on that. So how to give answer to these things? So one way is to give expert answer to these things, but the mind can throw so many questions at us that we cannot even imagine how many things to answer, and maybe in some question we may get stuck. So the solution is that instead of giving solution to the mind, maybe like few things we can give solution to, but most important thing is we should also put question to the mind. I'm ready to answer your questions, but when will you tell me first, when will you allow me to chant properly? So this question, like when we put back the question to the mind, so then the mind is in a position to answer. Uttar nahi milega. So mind keep asking the question, we also keep asking the same question. So when will you allow me to chant properly? When will you allow me to focus properly? I'll answer your question. Don't worry. First you answer my question. So that is a very important thing. So that is why the scriptures, the path of Krishna consciousness starts with Atata Brahma Jignasa. So this is a very powerful, this one. It is Brahma Jignasa. So it is inquiry or search is very, very powerful actually. Than a normal, handling of, this other yoga systems, if we see, the search is very, very minimal. But in Bhakti Yoga system, the search is very intense. So because of that, it is very conducive for a living entity to get out of this material nature. So this search should be there, and that is the thing which can actually save us from this one. So we should have this question very clear. So if we have one question very clear, we don't need to answer any of the questions of the mind. So just kuch bhi mind puche, ek hi answer hai. When will you allow me to chant properly? ठीक है, पूरा दिन ले लो. Just you give me half an hour also, fine. वो कब होगा वो half an hour? ठीक है, अभी कर लेंगे half an hour, बाद में पूरा दिन मैं दूंगा. So in that way, we learn to put that argument very nicely. So then it becomes a very nice feeling, a very nice way we can actually progress in the path of Krishna consciousness. So this is the thing, for the material nature to function, we need to perform a fruitive activity. And how does it engages in the fruitive activity? It just puts a question, and it just puts a question do you know about this? No, I don't know. Chanting ka time pe koi idhar ja raha hai. So do you know where he is going? उठ के देखते हैं इधर. and then altar में कुछ कीड़ा घूम रहा है. ठीक है, अभी 1 मिनट में सो गया तो लाइक उसके बाद उठ के देख रहे वो कीड़ा किधर गया सो आता तो कीड़ा जिज्ञासा हो गया तो लाइक सो मेनी थिंग्स वी वांट टू नो एक्चुअली it is the material nature is just putting a question into our head and we go mad about it and then like the koi acha what is it for I don't know, like brahmachari should not be doing this, but like bahar ja raha hai to like somebody is looking for marriage and then he sees some beautiful girl and then he feels like और जानना चाहिए इसका पिताजी कौन है ये कौन है कैसा अप्रोच करें and things like that. So like that, so the inquisitiveness, the material nature actually puts a slight information and then like it puts a question, and the living entity, in the pursuit of getting the answer to that question, he gets deeper and deeper into the material nature. So in the same way, like Krishna consciousness also, like what it is, we are also putting question. When will I get intense remembrance of the Lord? So like this, in the pursuit of understanding the answer to this, a devotee gets deeper and deeper into Krishna consciousness. So these questions are very important aspect. The search and this question is a very, very important aspect. So this is how like we can actually become, we can actually take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So until unless we have that intense search for the Lord, it is not possible for us to take shelter of the Lord. So if we don't take shelter of the Lord, then we will not be able to be removed from the influence of the material nature. And once we are not removed, so Prabhupada gives this one. Today morning I was hearing, like there was in the morning walk, and a nice question was put to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, see, like one person, like he was not a devotee, like he was there in the morning walk, and he was asking that, you see, I am doing something wrong in this life. So then, my body, I give up my body, and then I am going to the next to this one. So now, why is soul charged for that? So Prabhupada is trying to tell, like, you and the soul are same only, and then he is not able to get that point and things like that and all. So finally, the discussion went on, saying, okay, fine, that person could able to understand this, the myself and soul are same, but he was having this doubt that prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa, so everything is done by material nature, and then this one, now you are telling no soul, that conversation Prabhupada is telling, no soul is doing, that way soul is suffering. So then like the confusion came that whether soul is doing or Prakriti is doing. So then Prabhupada gave a very nice, we cover this in Gita course, like the desire of the living entity and then 5 factors of action. So Lord has his role and the soul has its role and Prakriti has its role, everybody has its role. So like, but the real moving things are done by the Prakriti and all. But now it is a very nice thing to see like how the Acharya responds. That's a very nice this one. So he mentions that, see, you have a body and I also have a body. Like, no, you are there and I am there. So if you are infected by typhoid and I am infected by something else, like Prabhupada says. So if you are infected, symptoms of that infection will come, no. So like it is not, you are not doing because you are infected. So these symptoms come. But if you are not there in this body, the body will not develop any disease. No. So because you are there and you are infected by a particular modes of nature, you will act like that. No. So Prabhupada is like giving this one example through infection of a disease. So if you are infected by this disease, you will get symptoms like that. So in that way, if you are infected by mode of goodness, you will have symptoms like this, no, like that. So in that way he was explaining. So anyway, so that's a very nice concept. So Jiva Bhuta, like how he is controlled by this, the 16 elements, 16 things which includes the mind, and how he is struggling in the material nature. So it's a nice this one to understand. So when we understand this, naturally the thing that comes is that we have to take shelter of Krishna and we have to serve Krishna, and we can be relieved from the material modes of nature and we can serve Krishna very nicely. So the total material existence is first agitated by 3 modes of nature, and then becomes and these becomes the living conditions of the living entity. So the living entity, for it to exist, there is need of the sthanam, and there is sthanam is like this different planetary systems, and there is need of different bodies getting created, and there is need of so many different things that are living conditions that are necessary for living entities to subsist, that is created by the root. Like the root is agitation of the material nature by the modes of the total material elements by the modes of material nature. And then the subtle and gross bodies develop, and the ingredients are earth, water, fire, air, and so on. So like this, all the things like in third canto and many other places we have studied, like how this, from this agitation, how first the subtle form actually comes, and then the DT comes, or DT and the subtle form, I don't know which sequence it comes. So like all of them actually come, and subtle to gross, all the things, like how it actually manifests. So all those things happen. So it is all because of the initial agitation, and the very first agitation is the glance of the Lord. So when the Lord glances, so then the glance is non-different from the Shambhu, and then the material nature is non-different from the Mother Parvati. So, and through their combination comes the whole of the material creation. So it's multiple levels of explanations are there. So but anyway, so the whole thing is like the modes of nature. In the Gita course also we cover this particular point, that we study what is soul, we study what is matter, and how does this matter actually function by the inclusion of three modes of nature. So without inclusion of three modes of nature, there is no, like we give the example of cooking. You put all the ingredients in the pot, but if you don't allow the time and the heat, and stirring, so it is not possible for you to make the preparation. So in the same way, like the material elements are there and time is there, and then the creative impetus is actually put in through the way of modes of nature. The modes of nature creates, like you are in the mode of goodness and you need this. You are in mode of passion, you need this. So then everybody actually start working towards that direction. Otherwise there is no spirit for working. So all these things are set into motion. So then according to Sri Madhvacharya, when consciousness, the living force in the heart, is agitated by three modes of material nature, then the subtle body of the living entity, consisting of mind, the sense objects, and the five senses that acquire knowledge, and the five senses for acting in material condition, becomes possible. So here we see that the senses are gross, but then here it talks about the subtle senses. That we can understand. The sense object is also mentioned as part of the subtle body. So like this is like one long back, one devotee gave an example. I think I would have mentioned this often in the like in the classes also. So if you see a mango is kept in the table, so immediately we start getting this one, the tongue starts feeling like this one watering. Saliva comes, and then you take the mango and you bite it, so you understand it's a rubber mango. So but then the sense object was duplicate, but how did you get the taste? So taste is because the sense object is already stored in the mind. The sense object in its subtle form is already there in the mind. The external appearance of that is only triggering that. So the sense object is actually present in the mind itself. So here we see that subtle body means it is consisting of mind, the sense objects, and the five senses, knowledge acquiring and working senses. All of them are there present in the subtle body. And whatever is present in the subtle body, it gets a gross covering. So gross is always dull. Subtle is always the active principle. So these subtle, the impressions or the facilities for all these senses are present in the subtle body. So whatever subtle body is there, according to that, gross body will be stitched, and like it's like a dress. Gross body, vashamshi jirnani yata. So like the gross body will be stitched and pehna jata hai. So in this way, like the whole, this one is there. So I don't know much deeper aspects of these material things, but one thing we can be sure of is that mameve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. How much ever complex the material nature can be, so like for this one Jnani, it is a very important subject, because he has to understand the working of the material nature and he has to exactly do the opposite of that. And then he can actually counteract, and he can he can get liberation. So that's a process that he has. So and for a devotee, like he needs to know how to take shelter of Krishna, And Krishna will make sure like how to reverse the process. Like that's the benefit. Even कुछ गलत समझ लिया, ठीक है, like no भगवान को शरण ले लेंगे तो भगवान ठीक कर देंगे सब. But for a jnani, if he understands it wrong, everything is wrong. In his whole process, everything is wrong. So for a devotee, like ठीक है, like जितना समझ सकते हैं, like जितना प्रयास कर सकते हैं प्रयास करेंगे. So but if there is some flaw somewhere, so Krishna will make it complete, that particular this. So that hope is there. So devotee is like little confident, So on that string. So that is why this Bhoktaram Yagnata Pasham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So in that this one devotee was explaining why the devotee is peaceful, why this gives peace to him. So he was mentioning that you see like somebody's come to hit you, and the biggest gunda in the city, and he can hit anybody, and you have his personal number, you can call him at any time, then you will be bindas, like kaun aane wala dekho, so like mera paas bahut power hai. So like that, the greatest personality, the supreme personality of Godhead, he becomes the best well-wishing friend of the living entity. So understanding that, a devotee becomes very happy. But still, like a devotee, how much ever his intelligence allows, he should study the subject matter, because it is a subject matter about Krishna and it is a service to Krishna. So we should study and we should try to understand them to the best of our capacity. So just pause here. Any questions or comments can take.
Last paragraph. I think subtle body, Prabhupada is just talking about the mind. If we compare that to the shloka, so
subtle body of the living entity consisting of mind, the sense objects, he is listing.
Then he's listing subtle body, then sense objects, mind, like that is sense objects.
No. Then the subtle body of the living entity, the subtle body of the living entity consisting of
the mind. So there it completes, I guess.
No. It's a list. When you put a comma, it's a list. See, the shloka is something, but he is quoting Madhvacharya, right? It's quoting Madhvacharya. So, and it is there. It is there in the subtle body.
Yeah, subtle body, it's there.
It's there. So, this how at least the English grammar is like this only. Agitated by three modes of mental nature. Then the subtle body of the living entity consisting of the mind. Once the consisting of comes, then the further commas becomes a list.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The last point that you made, that devotees are carefree, so there's not much of tension, and because, as you rightly said, we have the most powerful person, so why to fear anything? But that faith that this person is with me, like for a Gunda case that you said, I have the phone number, and I'm sure that when I call, he'll come. But for sadhakas, how to get that faith that yes, my Lord is there, and he's there always with me, I can be fearless, because most of the time this insecurity feeling is there for devotees. So how to get that faith in the Lord?
So this is one very important thing, how to get the faith in the Lord, is if we can somehow or other manage to chant without offenses and manage to get some taste in the process of chanting. So that's a personal experience of the Lord, and that offers a lot of security. So if we don't have this thing like मैं माला लूंगा और भगवान का तुरंत याद करूंगा, वो नहीं है तो लाइक अरे भगवान किधर है, कब आएंगे, लाइक ये तो बोल ही जा रहा है लाइक कभी कुछ महसूस ही नहीं हुआ भगवान का. So then the anxiety comes. The real thing is that if we are preparing for that fearless life, so especially like speaking, the later portion of the life is going to be a little fearful. At that point, before we hit that stage, if we have the experience of the Lord. तो मुझे इतना confident है, like whatever may be the problem, no, like माला पकड़ूंगा और नाम जप करूंगा, तुरंत भगवान को याद करूंगा, then no problem. So Prahlad Maharaj, no, when he is talking to Narsinghadev today morning, Prabhupada was mentioning this shloka. It's a very nice eye opener actually. Prahlad Maharaj is telling that I want to remember this shloka where that Vaitarani Paraduratyaya, that like I'm worried about these fools and rascals, and for me, like I'm not much worried about myself, because he's telling Magna Chitta. No, I'm always remembering you, my Lord, so I don't have any problem. So I am worried about these people. So like ours is not like that. You know, I have a problem. I'm not able to remember you. Even माला पकड़ के जब बैठता हूँ तब भी नहीं, you know, like आपके बारे में सोच पा रहा हूँ, तो like you know, I have, my problem is myself, and मैं बाहर जा रहा हूँ प्रचार के लिए क्योंकि वो सेवा है. You know, सेवा करना चाहिए तभी like you know कुछ advancement होगा, इसके लिए मैं सेवा कर रहा हूँ. I am not like Prahlad Maharaj, like you know, I don't have any problem for myself. No, I am worried about these people. I am worried about myself. I am not able to remember you. You know, so when I don't have any problem about myself, I can think about others. When I have so serious problem about myself, you know, what can I think about others? So, but still I preach, no, because it is a service given to me by the spiritual master. So by doing service, I'll become purified. So for that sake, I preach. And later stages, when we actually become Magna Chitta, that time we'll actually do preaching. No, so actually we will be able to preach the message of Krishna consciousness. So this is the thing. Security means, like as it is, as in the question itself, like you rightly mentioned, like no, I have the phone number, I can call and I can access that person. So in the same way, no, I have the Hare Krishna mantra, I can chant and I can access. When that comes, that is when the security will come. If that is not there, then the security will not be there. So if we take the process of chanting very lightly, no, which is the process, which is the way, like, can you bring the Namamritam, this one? So which is the way to access the Supreme Lord in this age of Kali. And, which is the way to access the Supreme Lord in this age of Kali. And see, we can try so many other means, but this is the sustainable way, this is the authorized way. Like this one, the Lord is accessed. So there is this nice set of shlokas that are there in the back of Namamrit book. So in that, one nice shloka, like our Kute Dhyata Vishnu Jasa. Dvaparer Janer Vishnu Pancharatrastu Kevalai Kalautu Nama Matrena Pujate Bhagavan Harihi. In Dwapar Yuga, one could satisfy Krishna or Vishnu only by worshipping opulently according to the Pancharatrika system. But in the age of Kali, one can satisfy and worship Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by chanting His holy name. So Lord has made Himself available so easily. Somehow or other we should take it very, very seriously that I should avoid offenses and I should chant and I should make progress in this one. So if we make this thing, then the security comes. So it is not just, security is not just a problem of brahmacharis, it's the problem of grihasthas also. So everybody has this problem that, what is there in store for me in the life? The unknown, the uncertainty that is there in the life. Death is obviously an uncertain thing. And okay, till death everything is fixed, no problem. After death, kya hoga? So it's always an uncertainty for everyone. So because of this uncertainty, everybody will face this security issue. And this issue can be solved only if we can experience the Lord. And without that, it is not possible. So, and this is the process, like, this is the easiest process. At least in the age of Kali, this is the easiest process. And everybody should try to, advance in this direction.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the class. So I also agree with this statements and which were just made, that until we have that experience of Krishna, until we have the anubhuti of Krishna, it is not possible to put faith in just like that. So somehow or the other, especially during chanting and also meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master while doing services, if we take some small steps towards Krishna, definitely Krishna reciprocates, and when we get an experience, the faith becomes stronger. Um, in my case, in one of the ways when it works for me is that when I try to become slightly more dependent on Krishna, I see some reciprocation, and that gives me faith. When I slightly take some risk for Krishna, and I see that Krishna is seeing that, okay, this fellow is helpless, I have to help him. So when I understand that, yes, my condition is helpless and I'm getting help, that gives me a lot of faith. So for me, it works when I try to become more dependent on Krishna and take some risks in the service of Krishna. And of course, chanting is the main thing. Another way in which it works for few devotees is when they hear about Krishna. We have heard people here outside so much they start putting faith in it. Aapke toothpaste mein namak hai, namak hai, namak hai. Haan, that's it. So when we again and again hear and hear and hear, and coupled with the process of chanting and services, it helps us to put faith. And initially, how it worked for me, my faith was blind. I just had trust that Krishna is there, and that's what my parents told, everybody told, leaders are telling, teachers are telling, let's go for it, jo hoga dekhenge. So that leap of faith is also important to get the faith. So these are some thoughts which came to my mind. Some points from your lecture which are helping me today is that only when we perform some fruitive activity with the doership mentality, the material nature can act upon us. And when we take shelter of Krishna, following the process shown by the acharyas, one can get free from the clutches of material nature. For a sadhaka, both Brahma Jigyasa as well as Mana Shiksha, both are very important. One should be having the right goals in life, and one should be dealing with the mind under guidance of the spiritual master. And the sense or experience of the sense objects are already stored in the subtle body. External vision only triggers it. So a sadhaka needs to know how to tolerate those triggers or deal with those triggers so that his Brahma Jigyasa doesn't get spoiled, and he should strengthen his Mana Shiksha also. And studying Srimad Bhagavatam is a service to Krishna. I should have this consciousness always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So the like yesterday also we discussed about the as a devotee we have a lot of advantages than a jnani or yogi. So as you mentioned, jnanis, they have to understand in a right way, and to nullify it they have to do opposite way. So, but for devotee, he don't have that tension. So even though he may not having right understanding because of immaturity, so but still Lord is there who is going to help him. So because he is doing with out of love and devotion. So he is not wanted to like show off, like jnanis, they do so many gymnastics and all, but not for his own self-centered. So they wanted to, devotees are like more into trying to understand more deeper and deeper. So but it comes based on the maturity level also. So when I heard this, like it gives a lot of hope for me, because whenever I read, I'm not able to understand what is there actually. But thing is, like okay, Prabhupada has written something, and I don't have that maturity to understand. But still, if I continue reading, the Dami Buddhi Yoga, Lord will give some intelligence to understand. Not completely, not able to understand, little at least I may understand. But when I hear again from the devotees, when I hear some lectures, somewhere if I remember that point and relates, when it comes in some discussions, then I used to understand, okay, this may be the actual thing what Prabhupada is trying to mention in Bhagavatam. So like that, Lord helps the devotee. So this is the biggest advantage being a devotee. But this advantage, other process like jnana and other yogas, it's not there. They have to do as it is, always like, they'll not get any result out of it. They have to struggle, and finally they'll think, they have wasted a lot of time. But for devotee, in a mood of devotional service, when he does, even though he is doing something wrong, but Lord will take as into account that he is doing something good, so he will reciprocate, saying that okay, like that. I also get more faith, because now sometimes when I read all the scriptures and all, it's like something like it's not going inside. But still, okay, devotees are saying to read. Prabhupada has given us instructions to read his books and all. When you're just simply following it, it helps actually. Slowly. Now when I read books, before I was reading just like a English, something I'm reading English, which also not able to understand fully. But now if I'm reading, I will understand, somewhere I can correlate, okay, this thing is being said in Bhagavad Gita also, and here somewhere it is being said, and the Lord is helping to understand more about Him. So that's the biggest advantage of being a devotee.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So one point I would like to take from the session, like that intense search should be there. So when can I chant properly? When I can hear the mantra? When hearing the Bhagavatam class also, when can I hear attentively properly? And while doing all the other devotional activities, how can I do in the service, in the mode of service? So all this, the intense search will help us to take the shelter of the Lord. So this is the point I want to take. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The point I like is knowledge means sense control, knowledge means character. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like question I have, even though there are 9 limbs of bhakti, first priority is given to Shravanam, which is by which only we can acquire faith, and when we hear through the pure devotees, because they have faith, they impregnate within our heart also such kind of faith. So Shravanam is given important, and Kirtanam is also important. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, like Achyut Prabhu yesterday was telling in Bhagavatam class that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if we sit in front of deities and clap our hands by chanting the holy names, I will take care of making you perfect and in getting pure devotional service and everything like that. So one devotee also was asking me that अभी कीर्तन करना है प्रभु, पूरा जीवन कुछ नहीं है, और यही है पूरा जीवन कीर्तन ही करना है, ऐसा बोल रहा था. That time I thought something came in my mind that Prabhu, like Parikshit Maharaj, when he was going to die in 7 days, Sukadeva Goswami and they might have done kirtan. Now I did the Bhagavatam discussion. So reading scriptures and also that is also very important. Like instead of kirtan, they did Bhagavatam discussion and lot of pastimes of the Lord. And so something came in my mind. I told, but all the limbs of also important, like that I told. I also have a doubt of this. So could you please clarify, Prabhuji? Like,
So, like, when you're offered some gulab jamun, so have you ever thought, rasmalai is also important, why that is not present now? Or today dal chawal is there, like why biryani is not made? Have you ever thought like that? While having prasad. Once there you take, no? If somebody is telling Kirtaniya Sadahari, he wants to do Kirtan, immediately you should find appreciation. Oh, so nice, Prabhu, you have got attached to one process. My condition is like so bad, I am not attached to any process. No, rather than like talking that, no, that is also important, this is also important. Like he's got attached to some process, no? So we should appreciate, no? That thing. So that's very important. So this is like, no, we should remain humble. And when we remain humble, we'll understand that if somebody is attached to some process of Krishna consciousness, immediately the thing will come as appreciation. No? So this is like trying to, the mind works, if the mind is always working on, if he's telling something, how to counter that particular thing. If the mind is working on like that, so then anything, even if something good also is told, the mind will only think about how to counter that. No? So we should, when will we appreciate? No, when will we appreciate? So we should appreciate. Is he doing something like breaking regulative principles? You're doing only kirtan. So why we should be critical about that? So,
One time I was also telling to my superior, I'm interested in Kirtana, I was listening. Then he told, we are not here to become Bhajananandas or something.
so like, no, he superior wants you to do a particular thing. So this again, the mind is trying to counteract that particular thing. You know, a superior has a this one, and you implemented the same thing with an equal or some other person who's not under you or something like that. So it's a wrong dealing, no? If superior says, like, he has the right to say. He wants you to get engaged in a particular service. So then it's okay. No, you can be engaged. But naturally, somebody has got a spontaneous attraction to a particular seva of this one, and he's not under you. Like, you just appreciate. What's the problem? You know. So this mind has to be controlled. No, the mind's nature, the concept of pride and the concept of this one, like if you are under the control of the modes of nature, then especially the passion and things like that, it just tries to oppose all the time. If it is not my way or if it is not this one, it just oppose. So the first thing is like opposition. So then we should, like, in that, if we understand we are in that kind of we are caught up in that kind of a scenario, then we should tell to ourselves that I'm not going to react to anything. No, let me just keep calm and let me think about it. And if some opposition comes, let me battle it out in the mind, and then finally after some time let me react. No, let me not react immediately. No, let me just observe. No, what is coming? Like, no, let me just observe. So and see, like, for some time let me contemplate about it, and let me contain that argument that is coming in my mind. And then let me hear, and let me spend some time with that. So after that, soch samajh ke, like when we respond, so we will be able to control this to some extent, and in that process we should also have some prayer to the Lord. So in that way, like, this can be solved. Otherwise, this is a very serious disease. This can, rather than being a jigyasa, this can actually end up in offense. And because of offense, we will not be able to do bhajan properly. So then, sab kuch khatam ho jayega. So it is very important thing. So we should not get into this thing. So if somebody is telling like that, if you have some subordinate and you want them to do a particular thing and they give some reason, so you have the right, to. And in fact, like if they are not just subordinate, if a subordinate who are willing to listen to you, not just tagged under you saying like, no, he's your subordinate. No, subordinate willing to listen to you, then you have the right to tell him. So Krishna had Arjuna as a subordinate, but like till the time he was not willing to listen, like he was not speaking in Bhagavad Gita. When he told like, no, I want to listen, he clearly told, no, you have the right to chastise me, I want to listen. Then Krishna starts speaking. It's a very essential principle that then only we start telling something. So till then we will not tell. It's not right to tell. So and it's good to develop appreciation. So this is the time when we are not still a senior devotee, when we are not assigned still juniors under us to take care of. This is the time to cultivate the quality of appreciation. Later on, like, it becomes very difficult. You will be surrounded by all juniors, and kisko appreciate karenge, kya karenge, like, we'll go into another zone altogether. So right now, this is the time for you to practice appreciation, because there is no need for you to correct anyone. So it's like good, you can develop appreciation. And when you're given service, then you can criticize, then you can be this one, if they are willing to accept your criticality, like that. Thank you.
Look at this one. So I was asked a question. Maharaj heard Parikshit Maharaj heard Bhagavatam. So why Prabhupada made us this Kirtan as the first priority. I gave some answer I want to hear.
It is also Kirtan only.
That was like exclusive Shravanam. Because we
See, like we speak Bhagavatam like this. When Shukadeva Goswami was speaking Bhagavatam, it was like song only was going on. So, like,
focus is holy name, right?
see, holy name is not different from the Lord. It's a rasa vigraha. It has all the, if we properly chant the holy name, we will get the same effect as hearing the Bhagavatam. And if we properly chant the Bhagavatam, we'll have the same effect as hearing the holy name. So, because of our this one that we see the external, इसमें तो अलग अलग नाम आता है, पास टाइम आता है, ये आता है, लेकिन इसमें कुछ नहीं है, इसमें खाली like no एक ही नाम को बार बार रिपीट कर रहे. This is like material vision. Actually if a person, if he's properly chanting the names of the Lord, it is Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It's a conscious entity which is able to reciprocate, like different kinds of rasas with the people. So, past time chalega usme bhi, why? It is because we don't have the adhikar to read the Bhagavatam at that level, and we don't have the adhikar to experience holy name at that level. We think that holy name is different, Bhagavatam is different. That's actually this one. It's actually kirtan only. It's a glorification of the Lord. So we see this difference because we are in the lower level. We are able to see different things, but actually it is not. No, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, all of them are contained in Nama, and Nama is just like it is explained that the subtle objects give rise to the gross objects. In the same way, the Nama is the subtlest and all-encompassing entity in the spiritual realm. So it has everything. So, it is a kind of an accusation that Nama doesn't have this thing. It has a deficiency. No, it is complete. It is actually complete. So that's an argument which I cannot take. Nama is complete, and if somebody is able to chant the names of the Lord perfectly, he'll be able to experience the very same things automatically. So it is complete. I would like to hear your answer also.
No, I told the same thing that Parishad Maharaj at that time, the hearing was there and he perfected his life. And Prabhupada saw at our level and he has given the holy name. And through that we will realize various things later.
Prabhupada also gave so many lectures, no?
No, means he gave focus. The question was why he has given focus so much? Why in ISKCON he is so much focused?
Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave focus.
That was the second thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
The acharyas have given. We don't have any authority. भगवान आके बोल रहे हैं ऐसा करो, लिबरेट करूंगा, अभी मैं सोच रहा हूँ ऐसा भी कर सकता हूँ, ऐसा भी करते रहो. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told Bhagavatam and holy name. So that's all. We want to that shloka which describes the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Taddama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargenava Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan. So, and then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam. So this is this one. Because it is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mat, we take this, the worshipable Lord, the abode of the Lord, the ideals, who are the ideal devotees for us, and what is the means, and this is all because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mat it is. So that is why we take that. And acharyas in the line, so they don't ask this question of, why not this, why not that, and things like that. They just follow, because the Lord has told this, we will just follow this, that's all. And preaching, why? No, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered us to preach, so we are preaching. Otherwise, we don't have any business preaching, So, Nityananda Prabhu was there, so he was not preaching till the time he was ordered to preach. So we are ordered to preach, we are ordered to chant, we are ordered to study Bhagavatam, only that much we will do. If we are ordered to study Padma Puran, this Puran, that Puran, we will study that also. We are not ordered, so we will not do. So that's all. So it's simple. Hare Krishna. तो 9:30 हो गया. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. Just when we were discussing this point, that so much of